Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Yoga and Meditation with me, Jane Stimpson, librarian at the Lone Star College LSC-CyFair Library, also a branch of the Harris County Public Library. Delighted to be bringing you all of our events online this semester. You can check them all out, events for all ages, at cyflib.info/events. So for tonight's yoga class, we are going to be working on a balance pose. So we are going to be doing a little core work, a little strengthening work to work up to our balance pose. Now, if you would like to take a second to pause the video and grab yourself a chair so that when we get to the balance, you have that to balance with, please go ahead and take a second to grab your chair. Even if you don't think you'll need the chair for the balance, you might like to do a version of Shavasana at the very end of class with your legs up on the chair. So even if you don't think you're going to need it for your balance, you might want to grab it just for to make your Shavasana nice and comfy, cozy. Okay. I think that's all our announcements. I don't think I had any other announcements. Okay. All right. So friends, let us transition into the time and space of our practice this evening by just sitting for a couple moments. So please take a second to come to a comfortable sit, whatever that means for you this evening. Maybe a simple crossed leg, legs out, straight. However you want to get comfortable in a sit this evening. You can grab a pillow or a blanket to sit up on as well. All right. So once you're here in your sit, let's take a moment to sit tall. So pull the waist out of the hips, pull the rib cage out of the waist. The gaze is straight ahead. Eyes are soft, shoulders are loose, and the belly is full and easy. Let's just start by taking a normal inhale in and a normal exhale out. And then take a deep inhale in through your nose. Open your mouth and sigh it out. 2 more like that. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, sigh. Deepest one yet. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, sigh. Good. Now continue to inhale and exhale through your nose. Eyes can be closed or just softly open. We'll just take a moment or so to bring our awareness to our breath and use that to transition into a more mindful practice. So just bringing your attention to your breath, the way it feels as it enters your nostrils, nice and cool. And the way it feels on your exhales, warmed by your body as it leaves the nostrils. You're not trying to control the breath in any way. You're trying to breathe in a particular rhythm. Just letting the body breathe itself. And following the rhythm of your breath. Lovely. When you're ready, go ahead and gently close your eyes. Bring your hands, palms touching in front of your heart. And then bow your head, drop your hands, and gently blink the eyes open and come back. All right, so we're going to start our physical practice tonight on our back. So just go ahead and lie on back, however is comfy. And once you get there, bend both knees into the chest and just start to rock around. So maybe back to forth, maybe rocking in circles, just taking a little rock and giving yourself a nice massage on that low back. And if you're doing circles, make sure you circle in the other direction so you're even. And then come to a stillness, one hand on top of each knee, and just drive your knees around in circles. So my knees are going in opposite direction circles from each other. Good. And then reverse the direction of your circles. The idea is we're just sort of driving the knees around and letting the thigh bones sort of rotate around those hip sockets. Good. And then come back to stillness. And then go ahead and straighten your legs. They don't have to be straight. They can have a little bend in the knees like mine. And just point and flex the feet up towards the ceiling. And then circle the ankles in one direction. Reverse your circles. Maybe point and flex a couple more times. And then bend the knees, hug them into the chest once more. And rolling over onto one side, use your hands to push yourself up or coming into a tabletop hands and knees position. It doesn't have to be a perfect tabletop because what I'd like you to do once you're there is just stir your own pot. Just move in a way that feels good for you and your body this evening. So maybe it's circling the hips one direction. Make sure you even it up, go the other way. You might want to straighten one leg at a time and stretch into the calves. That feels really nice. Just make sure you stretch for about the same amount of time on the other side. And maybe you're moving hips and head in opposite direction. Just taking a second here, especially if you've been sitting and working all day, or standing and working all day, to try and get out some of those snap, crackle pops. Maybe you want to reverse the hands and point the fingertips back towards yourself. Give a little gentle stretch of the wrists. Careful, it's a strong one. And then eventually making your way into a tabletop position, aligning yourself so that your knees are directly over your hips, your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders. And we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow. On your inhale, drop the belly, look up, lift the chin. And on your exhale, round the back, pull the belly up into the spine, tuck the chin. Good. Several more rounds with your own breath in your own time. If you want, you can move this back and forth. So maybe on your cow, you come forward a little bit. And maybe on your cat, the hips sink towards the feet a little bit. And just finding a way into a cat-cow movement and rhythm that serves you best tonight. Two more complete rounds. And then after your next cat, bring it back to a neutral spine. Bring your big toes to touch and sit the glutes back on the heels. So we're coming into child's pose. Now, you might, for the next thing that we need to do, you might need to scoot yourself towards the back edge of your mat if you're not there already. Okay. So arms out long, we're coming into a child's pose, head and neck relax down. Now, if that forehead easily touches the mat, fantastic. If it doesn't easily touch the mat, don't force the forehead or the neck down. Just sort of let it pretend like it could make its way down, and eventually it will. You can also take a block or a pillow and put that underneath. Now, we're going to come into a little bit of a low flow here. So we're here in child's pose. On your next inhale, inhale back to tabletop. And then on your exhale, lower the belly, the chest, all the way down to the mat. Good. You can reposition the hands underneath the shoulders, elbows hug in. And on your inhale, just peel the chest off the mat a little bit, tiny cobra. Good. Exhale all the way back to your child's pose. Okay. We'll do that a couple more times through with a rhythm now rather than individual. So inhale to tabletop. Exhale, lower down to the mat. Inhale, tiny cobra, tops of feet press into the mat. And exhale, push all the way back to your child's pose. Good. Let's do one more. On your next inhale, come forward, tabletop. Exhale, thighs, hips, belly, chest, lower to the mat. Inhale, press tops of feet and hands into the earth as you rise to cobra. And exhale, push all the way back to your child's pose. Excellent. Now, come on back to tabletop. Let's get everything squared up. So make sure that feet are about hips width apart. Hands are shoulder width apart. So let's set up our hands here. When we're in down dog, we want to try and have that palm be flat on the mat. Sometimes, you know, it's the center of the palm is sort of suction cupped up a little bit. But we want to try and press those palms right down to the mat. And then fingertips are spread wide. And the base of the fingertips and the tops of the fingertips are rooting down. So it's almost like we have a little suction cup with our palms and then at the base and top of each finger as well. So we're going to think about those suction cups. We're also going to think about pressing down into the mat, pressing the mat away from us, and pressing forward. So now that we sort of have that arm set up, ready, give the toes a light tuck, not a very deep tuck, just a very light one. And then lift the knees and the hips up and back, downward facing dog. So now that we're here, let's bend one knee at a time and walk our dog. If we feel like we have a lot of pressure on the wrists, thinking about moving that weight into the bottom half of the body, right? So hips are reaching towards the back of the mat. Heels are driving down towards the mat. If they don't touch, no worries. Then you can bring the knees to stillness, and you can just sway from side to side. So just find a little movement here in your down dog. Sort of warming into it. Good. And then bring the legs to stillness. Last little thing we're going to do here. Bend both knees a lot and look forward at your hands. Good. Straighten down dog. And then one last time. Bend the knees a lot, look forward. Nice shoulder release. 2 straight legs. And then bring your knees down. Sit back on your heels. Child's pose. All of this work is going to help us out a lot when we start to get into our balance. We're going to need to have a lot of core strength for that. So, okay. Now, while you're here in child's pose, just turn to look at me for a second. We're going to do a little bit of core work, and you have a couple of options here. So your first option is here. We're here in child's pose. On the inhale, come up to tabletop like we just did in the first stage of that flow. And on your exhale, back down to child's pose. Okay, so that's option 1. Inhale to tabletop, exhale to child's pose. Option 2 for our core work is to do this from down dog. So we take our down dog, inhale to plank, one straight line from the back of the head to the heels. Exhale back to down dog. So we're going to do that 5 times. So pick which variation you want, child's pose to tabletop or down dog to plank. Know that you can switch it up. So maybe you do down dog plank the first couple and you're not feeling it. So you move back to child's pose tabletop, right? It's up to you and what your body is craving this evening. All right. All right. I will take the down dog plank option now. Okay. So start wherever you want to start, whether that's child's pose or downward facing dog. Inhale forward to tabletop or plank. Exhale back, down dog or child's pose. Good. 4 more. Inhale forward. Exhale, press it back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. 2 more. Remember, you can switch to a different variation. Inhale forward. Exhale, push it back. Last one, nice and smooth. Inhale forward. Exhale, push it back. Everybody, no matter which option you chose, knees down, toes touch, child's pose for everyone. Good. And then sit up. If you're comfortable sitting back on your heels in a kneeling position, great. Otherwise, just bring it to a seat. We just did a lot of work on the wrists, so let's get our wrists a nice little stretch. So just circle the wrists in one direction. And then the other direction. Good. Right hand out like you're telling someone to stop. Gently pull those fingertips back towards you to stretch. Fingertips point down, gently pull them back towards you. And last variation, palm faces up. Once again, gently pulling those fingertips back in towards you. Good. Release that, maybe shake it out. Let's do the other side. Left hand out, gently pull and stretch the fingertips back. Fingertips point down, gently pull them back. And palm faces up, gently pulling fingertips back towards yourself. And release. Nice. On your inhale, inhale both arms up. Exhale, bend the elbows and lower the arms, squeezing the shoulder blades together as you do this. I love that stretch. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend the elbows as you lower, really letting the chest arch and be broad here. Yeah. 1 more. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, like you could squeeze a broomstick between your shoulder blades. Just love that one. Okay. All right. Come on back to your tabletop position. And we'll transition to stand through down dog. So tabletop, tuck the toes, lift the knees and the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then walk the feet towards the top of the mat. When you get there, let feet be hips width apart. Gently bend the knees as much as you like. And just sway from side to side, maybe grabbing opposite elbow, and just letting the hands dangle, whatever you're feeling tonight. And then when you're ready, release your arms if you had the elbows clasped. And very slowly roll yourself up, 1 vertebrae at a time. Head stays bowed, shoulders roll back, then the head comes up. Good, very nice. All right, we're going to start our standing series as usual with some half salutations linking breath with movement. So take your mountain pose at the top of your mat, feet together or slightly apart, your choice. Legs engaged, tailbone tucked, shoulders melting down the back. Take a second, roll your shoulder blades back. Feel them traveling down the back. Good, gaze straight forward, mountain pose. Exhale everything. And then on your next inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, hands to the shins, lift halfway, look up. Exhale, refold. And inhale, press your feet into the earth, arms rise as you rise, gaze rises. And exhale, hands return. Now, hands can return to the sides, or you can return hands in prayer position in front of your chest. Your choice. All right, let's do 2 more halves. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, flat back. Same action in the chest as in cobra. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Look, See your hands. Exhale, hands return to the sides or prayer. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, bend the knees and fold. Inhale, hands to the shins, lift halfway. Exhale, refold. And inhale, last time, last half, rising to a stand. Look, maybe take a little arch of the back, little back bend. And then exhale, hands return to prayer position or at your sides. Nice. Now, we're going to work into some standing poses. We're going to practice our balance, and then we're going to put those two things together. So you don't need your chair quite yet, but just in a second we'll use it. All right. So top of your mat, mountain pose. When you're ready, inhale, the arms rise. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, refold. Right foot takes a big step back. We're here in a lunge. Okay. Now, we're going to come to standing from here. So you can do that a couple different ways. If you have pretty good core strength, you can just come straight up. Or you can put one hand and then the other on your front knee. And then bring hands to hips to lift up. Okay, so if you're feeling wobbly in this crescent lunge, you can do a couple things. You can make your stance shorter so you can bring that front foot in. You can make your stance wider so you can walk that front foot out to the left, right? So I want you to take a second to figure out your stance to make it feel comfortable. So this front knee should be bent directly over our ankle, front shin vertical. Our back foot, the heel, is driving towards the back of the mat, and we've got a little bend in that back knee. So it's almost like the back knee points down and the back heel points back. All right, so once you feel pretty good and set up in your legs, we're gonna try and, now you can leave hands on hips or lift arms up around the ears, and we're squaring our chest and our hips forward. We're feeling our entire torso lift out of the pubic bone. Great, crescent lunge, next. Now, exhale, turn your back heel down. We're kind of coming to warrior two. Now, if you made your stance a little bit wider for this crescent, you might need to reset your stance. So for me, I need to walk this front foot into the center of my mat a little bit so that my front heel aligns with my back arch. Once we have that and that front shin is vertical, warrior two. Gazing out over those left middle fingertips. Now I also had to just make my stance a little bit longer, so always feel free to adjust your stance to make that pose feel good for your body. Good. Inhaling here in warrior two. On your exhale, drop the back hand to the back thigh, front hand palm faces up, and reverse your warrior. So arching that torso back. Inhaling here. And then on your exhale, curtain the hands down to either side of your front foot. Come off your back heel and step this front foot back to meet your back foot, downward facing dog. Now, you have options here. You can stay in downward dog for the next few breaths, or if you want to flow through a vinyasa, go for it. It's up to you. To do that, you can inhale forward to plank and either lower your knees or not. Come down to your belly. Inhale, cobra pose. And then exhale, tucking the toes and lifting up and back to downward facing dog. That's optional. You can stay in downward dog for those breaths. Inhaling in dog pose. And on your exhale, stepping forward to the front of your mat. When you get there, inhale, hands to the shins, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, refold. And then inhale, both arms rise. Exhale, return. Nice. All right, we're going to take that on the other side. So take your mountain pose. When you're ready, inhale, arms will rise. Exhale, bend the knees and fold. Inhale, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, refold, left foot steps back. Right knee stays bent, right shin is vertical. And coming up into our crescent lunge. So again, feeling that back heel really driving towards the back of the mat. Little bend in that back knee. And then if you feel like you're not straightened, do your best to try and square your hips and your chest towards the front of your mat. All right. And then arms up by the ears, crescent lunge. Good, one more inhale here. Remembering that we can always adjust our stance if we need to. And then on your exhale, come down onto that back heel, arms parallel to the mat, warrior two on the right side. Inhale. And on your exhale, left hand drops back to the left thigh, right palm faces up. Inhale, reach up and back, and exhale in your reverse warrior. Gaze is up towards that right palm. Good, inhale here. And then on your exhale, cartwheel, hands down to either side of the front foot, come off that back heel. Step the front foot back to meet the back one, downward facing dog. And you can stay here for a few breaths, or inhale forward to plank, lower down to the mat. Inhale, elbows squeeze in, cobra pose. And exhale, tucking the toes, lifting the knees and hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale here in dog pose. And then exhale, stepping forward to the front of the mat. Once you're there, inhale, hands to shins, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, refold. And then inhale, press the feet into the earth, rise, little back bend. Exhale, hands return. Nice. All right, so we're gonna practice that balance pose. Penny, that was the exact wrong time to jump up on the chair. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna balance with my chair today. If you want to balance with your chair though, all good, okay. If you want to balance with your chair, let's bring it to the right. Cats, man, cats. Bring your chair to your right side. Okay, now let's take our mountain pose. Chair is on our right. No, we're not super close to it, but just a little bit so we can reach out and touch it if it's there. First, start by making sure that your right foot and both feet are really rooted strongly into the earth. So think about the four corners of your feet, the points at the base of your big toe, little toe, and the two back edges of your heels. And one thing I like to do is lift all 10 toes of my feet off the mat, and I can sort of feel those four corners, right? And then you can place all those 10 toes down again. Nice. All right. So first, I want you to bend the left knee and take the left heel off the mat. So you can stay right here. You do not have to lift your foot off the mat at all. This is a great way to balance, right? Again, you can always reach that right hand out to hang onto your chair. If you want a little bit more in the balance, you can lift that left foot off the mat and keep the knee bent. You can clasp hands around that front knee to keep it in. If you want to go furthest in this, you can grab the big toe with your left peace sign fingers and straighten out that leg. Now I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me just for a second. Here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to grab the toe and be all hunched over the leg like that, right? If that's how the only way you're getting into this position by being hunched over, it's not worth it, right? I only want you to take that variation if you feel pretty stable and like your whole torso is straight up, right? Like you're standing. Okay, so if you're at all bent, don't take that variation. Take the knee variation. Take whichever variation allows you to stay upright. Okay, all right. Okay, let's really get into it now. Having our chair on the right-hand side if we need it. Feeling all four corners of each foot, helping us root into the earth and balanced. Let's take our variations. Just bend the left knee, heel off the floor. Or lift the left foot up, holding the bent knee into the chest, or grabbing the big toe and letting the leg go long. Good. Let's stay here for a couple of breaths. Pick a spot on the wall opposite you to look at to balance. If you come out of it, you can come back in. And you can always use your chair or whatever you have handy to balance. Okay. All right, here's how we're going to try and kick this up. I want you to slowly bring that left leg out to the left. Now, if you're hanging on to the toe, great. Just do your best to stay upright. If you have the knee bent, it's almost going to look like those old Captain Morgan commercials where you're holding the knee out. If you still have your foot on the floor, just turn that leg out so the left knee is pointing off to the left. Okay, so whichever variation, wherever you're at, is great for you tonight. And then wherever you are, bring the knee back to center and then lower it. Okay, that was a lot. Let's shake it out. Okay. And let's move our chair to our other side. We're going to get the other side of that balance pose. All right, so again, you have options. First, let's feel our feet rooted down. So all 10 toes off the mat, then lower. Your options here, and you can go through them progressively, right? Bend the right knee, left heel off the floor. Hands can rest at hips in prayer position. Wherever we are, we're picking a spot on the opposite wall to focus on. If we want to go a little further in our balance, we can lift that knee and clasp that bent knee into our chest. If we want to go furthest, as long as we're not compromising that straight line of our spine, peace sign fingers wrap around the big toe and send that leg long. Okay, a few breaths here. Knowing that if you wobble out, you have little time to come back in. Knowing that you always have your chair for balance there should you need it. All right, let's take it out to the right. Inhale where you are. On your exhale, bring that knee out to the right, whichever variation you chose. And then bringing that leg back center, then lower it and shake it all out. Whew. Okay, move your chair to the top left side of your mat. Hopefully I got that right. And let's just take some barrel rolls. So just rolling the hips in big circles in one direction. And then rolling it in the other direction. Very nice. All right. And then when you're ready, come on back to the top of your mat. So if you're using your chair for balance, your chair is here at the top left side of your mat, and we're crossing our fingers. I got my sides right. All right, take your mountain pose at the top of the mat. For just a moment, bring your hands together in prayer position, fingertips spread wide, thumb connects to your sternum, and just gaze down towards your fingers, and we'll take a couple breaths here. Good. Release your hands, and we'll take our mountain pose. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in this vinyasa is putting together our crescent lunge and that balance that we just tried. So you might wobble, you might fall, it's all good, all right? Mountain pose, top of your mat. Exhale everything. And on your inhale, arms rise. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. Inhale, hands to the shins, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale and fold. Right foot steps back, coming into our crescent lunge. Nice. Okay, so making those adjustments in your stance, making it a little shorter or longer, wider, narrower, to do what you need to do to make that crescent comfy. And then bring hands to the hips. And I want you to lean your torso forward over that front thigh. So belly is not touching thigh, we're just sort of leaning the torso over that front thigh without touching it. Now, I want you to try and place as much weight as possible into that left foot, come off onto the toes of your right foot, and then we're gonna try and put all of our weight in the left foot, that right foot gets light and lifts up. Okay, so if you need to try that again, we're here in the crescent stance, leaning our torso over that front foot, putting more weight in the front foot, lifting off the back foot until we lift that knee up into our balance. Remember, you don't even have to take the foot off the floor. It can always just be with that heel up position. Good. So we're here in the balance. Inhale here. On your exhale, take that leg out to the right. Woo! If your chair is on the left of you, hopefully it is, you can hang on for balance. And then bring that foot back in, and here's the tricky part. We're going to bend that knee. We're going to lean forward, hands on hips still, and we're going to try and bring that back foot back into our crescent lunge. Very nice. All right. Come on to the heel, the back heel, and turn both feet towards the right long side of your mat. Hands on the hips, inhale here. And on your exhale, slight bend in the knees. Fold forward, bringing the hands down to the mat or somewhere on the legs that feels good. When you have your hands in their position, inhale, lift the back halfway, flat back, and then exhale, fold. Good. Good. One more inhale here. Come up halfway. And then on your exhale, pivot the toes towards the front of the mat. Come into your lunge with both hands down on either side of the front foot. And then flatten the palms. Step the front foot back to meet the back one, downward facing dog. You can stay here for a few breaths or flow through. Inhale into plank. Exhale, elbows hug in, lowering down, flipping the toes, and pressing down to lift up into cobra. And then once more, flipping the toes, heading back to downward facing dog. Good, in-breath here in dog. And then on your exhale, step one, and then the other foot forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, hands to the shins, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, rise to a stand. Exhale. Hands return. Awesome. All right, so we're going to take that on the other side. So move your chair if you felt like you needed it for that balance. Move it over to the right-hand side, top right-hand side of your mat. We're going to do this other side, and then we're going to bring it all down to the mat to stretch out. So last little bit of heat here. All right, mountain pose, top of the mat. When you're ready, inhale, arms will rise. Exhale, bend the knees and fold. Inhale, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, left foot steps back. Lift for a moment into our crescent lunge. Feeling that back heel driving forward. Now, bring the hands to the hips and then Drape that torso over the right thigh, not touching, but like it could touch. Thinking about bringing as much weight as possible into this front foot, and then lifting, peeling up onto the toes of our back foot. Eventually, we're peeling that back foot off so much, we're just gonna lift that left foot off the mat and into our balance pose. Very nice. So maybe the left foot is still down and just the heels off the mat. Maybe you're working towards holding the toe and you're just on the knee for now. It's all good. In breath here. And then exhale, open that knee and hip out to the left, whichever variation you chose. Maybe hanging onto your chair if it's there. Inhale where you are. Exhale, bring that left leg back in center. Release it. And then here's the tricky bit. We're gonna fold forward and we're gonna try and place that back foot back where we think it should be in crescent. You can always replace it if you need to, good. So we're here in crescent. And then we're gonna turn both feet towards the left long side of our mat. Inhale where you are. And exhale, forward bend. If you want a different arm variation this time, you can take your peace sign fingers, hold onto your big toes. Still inhale, flat back. And then on your exhale, bend your elbows to pull yourself in. If you want to release the neck here, take a second and nod the head yes. And shake the head no. Come to stillness. Hands down underneath your shoulders. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, pivot both feet towards the front of the mat. We're here in our lunge, hands down to either side of the front foot. And then last time, plant the hands. Step front foot back to meet the back, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. If you're still feeling like flowing through, go for it. Otherwise, just stay in down dog. Deep breaths. And if you flowed through, you should be back in dog now. Everybody take a deep breath in. And exhale. Knees down. Big toes touch. Sink the hips back. Child's pose. Take a moment, rest in your child's pose. If it feels nice, you can bring the palms of your hands together and then bend the elbows and bring those palms to the back of your neck. It's a nice sort of tricep stretch there. Then when you're ready, when you've caught your breath, come on up and meet me in a seated position. All right, so once you're in your seat, let's send both legs out into a straddle position. It does not have to be super wide. Fingertips in front of you. Inhale, let the spine get really tall. Feet are flexed, toes point towards the ceiling. And then on your exhale, you can stay right here, or you can walk the fingertips out, keeping the back flat. And breathe. Inhale, feel the spine extending long. On the exhale, see if that lets you release and bow a little bit further into the stretch. Good. One more in-breath here. And on your exhale, gently, slowly, walk it back in. Good. Bend your left knee so that that left sole of the foot comes to the inner right thigh. Right palm faces up on top of your right leg. Inhale, left arm rises. And then on your exhale, side stretch over to the left. So maybe this top hand could catch the outside of the right foot. Don't force it though. Hopefully you should be still feeling wherever this hand is. A nice side stretch from the top of the left hip through that left shoulder blade. You can look up underneath that left armpit if that's not too bad on your neck. Good. One last in-breath here. And to take a counter stretch on your exhale, bring this left hand behind you. And you can lift the hips up so you're resting on your left shin and right foot, right arm up and over. And then come on back. Very nice. So let's try and switch. Try and switch without your hands. So left foot out, right sole of the foot is bent in. Left palm faces up. Inhale the right arm up. And then exhale, side stretch over that leg. Looking up underneath the right armpit if that's comfortable. Just looking straight ahead if it's not. Good. One more inhale. And then exhale, right hand behind you. Come onto the shin. We'll take that counter stretch. Oh, love that. Good, good, good. Nice. Come on back. All right. Come to a simple crossed leg. And I want you to clasp the hands behind you. So I'm just going to show you for a second. Roll the shoulders back. Clasp hands behind you. Now, if that does not feel good, you can grab opposite elbow. And if that doesn't feel good, you can just have hands on hips, right? But if you do have your hands clasped, I want you to make sure that you're not locking those elbows out, right? So have a little micro bend in those arms. Great. So now what we're going to do, stay like this. Once more, roll the shoulders back. Bring both palms to the right hip. And I want you to take a second here. Bend the elbows in towards each other so shoulder blades are squeezing. Give one last roll of the shoulders here. And then drop your right ear to your right shoulder. We're getting like this nice combo shoulder and neck stretch here. And then if that feels okay, you can start to gently, slowly move the chin up and down. So we're getting into all these nice neck side muscles. And then make your way back to center. Bring the head back center. Unclasp your hands. Take a second, roll the shoulders back and roll the shoulders forward. You probably feel lopsided, so let's grab that other side. Roll the shoulders back and either clasp hands or grab onto opposite elbow, whatever you did the other side. And then bring those hands to the left hip. Once more, roll the shoulders back, thinking about squeezing shoulder blades together. And drop left ear towards the left shoulder. Just feeling that side of the neck stretch first. And then you can start to very slowly move the chin up and down. And eventually coming back to center with the chin, with the head, releasing the arms, and just do a couple of these, crossing one arm on top of the other just to shake that out. Good. All right, legs out long, just the last couple of poses before we head into our rest pose. So both legs out long, move your extra love, as my teacher Afton would say, so sit bones come to the earth, torso is sitting up nice and tall, feet are flexed. On your inhale, lift arms up by the ears. On your exhale, fold forward wherever those hands want to rest. Whether it's thighs or shins or ankles or feet. And same thing, once you're there, Inhales, extend the spine long. And exhales, we fold a little further into the thigh. Just a couple of breaths here. On your next exhale, slowly, gently start to release. And bend both knees bend both knees so that feet come down to the mat. If you have your chair nearby and you think you want to use it during Shavasana, make sure that you are facing your chair. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. So knees bent, soles of the feet on the earth, arms reach out, and then start to roll your way back. Feel your tummy tuck, your hips tuck, and lower with control all the way down to the mat. Very nice. When you get there, bend both knees into the chest, give them a little hug, a little rock. We're going to take a reclined pigeon. So bringing the left ankle on top of the right knee, clasp behind your right thigh or shin, left foot is flexed, and then pull in. So we're feeling a nice stretch on the outside of the left hip and left glutes. Inhale where you are. Exhale, release, send both legs up to the sky like we did at the beginning of practice. And then switch. So right ankle on top of left thigh, right foot flexed. Clasping behind left thigh or shin. And then exhale, pulling the whole package in towards the chest. Noticing how your sides might feel different. Maybe one's a little easier to stretch or clasp behind the shin. Last inhale here. On your exhale, release, send both legs long, one last time to the ceiling. And then hug them into your chest. And then bring the feet down, so feet are mat width apart. And then arms above your head, clasp opposite elbow. It's okay if that feels a little tough. It's okay if you're just clasping wrists or forearms there. And then just windshield wiper the knees. So this is a nice constructive rest pose. If your body is craving any other poses at this time, maybe you want to take a reclined twist or you want to rock a little bit more. Take a moment to do any last poses that your body might be craving as we head into our final rest pose. And then eventually, bringing your knees back to stillness, bend both knees in so that they touch. Just rest one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. Just feeling that stillness in our bodies. Okay. All right. So let's set up for our final rest pose. And as always, if you prefer to take a seated meditation for the last few moments of class, totally fine. If you want to take a traditional rest pose and just lie back on your mat, that is also great. So let the toes go wide, let the hands face palms up, away from your body slightly. But if you want a little bit a more restful rest and you want to work in this chair, bring your chair in front of you Make sure that mine's either on or off the mat totally. And then scooch forward to the chair enough so that you can get your calves on it. This might depend on the height of your chair and the height of your body, but close enough so that your calves are resting on it, and then your back can just drape like normally on the mat. And when your legs are up on the chair, same thing, knees and toes can go wide, or whatever is most comfortable for you. Now, if you've got yourself all set up, legs on the chair, and you're like, Jane, I'm not feeling that, that's not relaxing, totally fine, right? Everybody's body needs a little bit of different rest. So if you're not feeling the legs on the chair variation in Shavasana, skip it. Reset yourself on your mat and just take your traditional Shavasana rest pose, or take your seated meditation. Wherever you have chosen to be, we're going to take these next few moments to just relax and release and reflect on all the amazing things our bodies are able to do on our mat. And just coming to the mat is an amazing thing for your body to do. So no matter where you felt like you were on those balance pose variations, if your feet did not come off the mat at all, that's fine. Your body made it to the mat to practice tonight. And that's the greatest thing, right? Nothing else matters after that. So in our rest pose, taking a moment to consciously check in and relax from head to toe. So letting the point between your eyes relax. If your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth, unstick your tongue. Let the teeth part slightly. Feel your jaw relax down towards the mat. Feel your shoulders relax and sink into the mat. Feel your arms, your wrists, your hands, and your fingers. Let go and relax. Let your belly be full and easy. Let that belly relax and let go. Let the whole front side of your body relax. Let your hips and your back body relax. Let your legs, your ankles, your feet, your toes, invite them all to just let go and relax. And with the moment or so left that we have together, seeing how completely you can let your body soften into the earth and let go. If you chose to end practice in a seated meditation, stay there a moment longer. If you chose to lie all the way back on your mat, stretch your toes and your hands away from each other. Start to wiggle ankles and wrists. And then eventually rolling over onto one side. If you had your legs up on your chair, very carefully roll over onto one side so that all of your body is on the earth. And then for those of you lying on your side, use your hands to push yourself up to a seated position. Eyes can stay closed. And everybody meet me in their easy sit, eyes closed. Bring the palms to touch in front of the heart. Thank you so much for practicing with me this evening and for testing your balance and your strength. Bow your head, drop your hands, gently blink the eyes open. Come on back. All right. Great job tonight, everyone. I will see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you for your practice.